I'm Sujani, faculty in physics at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. Today we are going to discuss about the whole concentration in intrinsic semiconductors. So let us look at the outline of module 2, what all we have discussed till now. We have discussed the free electron theory, the Bloch theorem, and the Kronig-Penney model. We have seen the classification of materials and then intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductors. And in my last class, I've discussed about intrinsic semiconductors and the carrier concentration of electrons. So in this class, we are going to discuss about the carrier concentration of holes. Because when we see in semiconductors, we have two types of carriers, the electrons as well as the holes. So in the last class, we have discussed very clearly about the concentration of holes. And we are going to discuss about concentration of holes in this lecture. Now the brief outline of what we are going to discuss today. So in hole concentration, first we need to understand about intrinsic semiconductors. Then we are going to define the energy of states. Then define Fermi-Dirac function. And then finally we will derive an expression for the hole concentration. Now semiconductors, the broad classification if we see, they are intrinsic semiconductors and extrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors are pure semiconductors. Pure means if we take a crystal of germanium or silicon, these two are the famous semiconductors. If you take a germanium crystal, all the atoms in that crystal are germanium. You do not find any other atoms of any other element. The same way if you take a silicon crystal, all the atoms are of silicon. So that is what we call as pure form. And in extrinsic, there will be some impurity added. Based on that, we have the classification, which we will be discussing in the next class. Today, we are going to mainly focus on intrinsic semiconductors and how is the charge carrier concentration of holes that in intrinsic semiconductors. That is what we are going to discuss today. Now in intrinsic semiconductor, we have seen it's in the pure form and the holes and electrons are equal. The number of holes in the valence band will always be equal to the number of electrons in the conduction band. We are going to derive expressions also to show that. But what we need to understand here is the number of holes are always equal to the number of electrons in an intrinsic semiconductor. And then the Fermi level lies in between the valence band and conduction band. Fermi level is the highest filled energy level. Okay, I'll be taking a separate lecture on exclusively for Fermi level. But for us to understand, what we understand here is that it is the highest filled energy level. And then the ratio of majority and minority carriers is unity. So now if we are talking about holes and electrons, number of holes is equal to the number of electrons. So here there is nothing like majority or minority. But in case if you consider one of them as majority carriers and the other is minority, so the ratio is always a unity because they are equal. So the ratio of the number of holes to the number of electrons is always 1. Now let us try to understand how is the electrical conductivity in semiconductors. So to understand the electrical conductivity, we consider a pure silicon or germanium crystal. I told you silicon and germanium are the best examples for semiconductors. They belong to the 4th group. If you see in the periodic table, they are in the 4th group. 4th group means what? They have 4 valence electrons. So this is how we identify the elements in the periodic group. Now if we are considering a pure silicon or germanium crystal, each atom is surrounded by 4 identical atoms and each atom possesses 4 valence electrons. So we are talking about these valence electrons. What are valence electrons? Valence electrons are those electrons which are present in the outermost orbit. So if we consider for silicon, the atomic number is 14. So we write it as 2, 8 and 4. This is how we write the electronic configuration. 2 in the first orbit, 8 in the second orbit and 4 in the third orbit. So the third orbit becomes the outermost shell or outermost orbit, and in the outermost orbit we have 4 electrons. This is what we are talking about. So it consists of 4 valence electrons, and these 4 valence electrons form covalent bonds with the 4 neighboring atoms. So when we are talking about a crystal consists of n number of atoms which are arranged in a periodic fashion. Okay, now each silicon atom, because it has 4 electrons in the outermost shell, in order to attain closed shell configuration, which we call it as stable configuration. We call it as stable configuration. In order to attain stable configuration, what it does is it will form covalent bonds with the 4 neighboring atoms. I'll explain it with the help of a diagram in the next slide. And at 0 Kelvin, there are no electrons in the conduction band, and hence the electrical conductivity of a pure semiconductor is 0. So when I am talking about the electrical conductivity, so will the semiconductor at 0 Kelvin conduct or not? So it cannot conduct. Why it cannot conduct? Because there are no electrons. Why there are no electrons? Because all the 4 electrons in the outermost shell are forming covalent bonds with the neighboring atoms, and hence there are no free electrons. So no free electrons means no electrons in the conduction band. So they do not conduct. So they do not conduct, so the electrical conductivity is 0. So we also say that at 0 Kelvin, these semiconductors, they behave like insulators. Insulators are those materials which do not conduct. So here at 0 Kelvin, what we are observing here, since there are no electrons in the conduction band, the conductivity is 0. That is why we say they behave like insulators. Now let us understand this with the help of the diagram. We are talking about the silicon crystal. So we have considered 9 atoms. There are n number of atoms, but for explanation's sake, I have taken 9 atoms which are arranged in a periodic fashion. Periodic fashion means the lattice parameter between any 2 atoms is constant. Okay, so let us take this silicon crystal. So these are the 4 valence electrons in the outermost orbit. Now these 4 electrons form covalent bonds with the neighboring atoms. So the neighboring atoms are, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3 and this is 4. Neighboring or adjacent to this silicon atom, we are taking 4. So now these 4 electrons, they form covalent bond with the neighboring atoms. So this electron forms covalent bond with this electron. This forms a covalent bond with this electron. This one 4th and this is 3rd. So we have all the 4 electrons bonded by covalent bonds. We are showing the bonds by this dotted line. These are by the covalent bonds. The dotted lines show the covalent bonds. So all the 4 valence electrons are bonded with the neighboring atoms, and so there are no free electrons. This is all at T is equal to 0 Kelvin. And this is an intrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic means pure semiconductor. All atoms are silicon atoms. Okay. Now how do we represent it in an energy band diagram? Energy band diagram consists of a valence band conduction band. So valence band represent the energies of all the valence electrons, and conduction band represents the energies of all the conduction electrons. Now, if you see here for this silicon crystal, there are valence electrons. Each atom we can see have 4 valence electrons. So all these electrons or their energies are represented in the valence band. If you see the valence band, there are different energy states. All these are states, and in those states, these are the electrons that are filled. So the valence band, valence electrons occupy all levels here. So where are the valence electrons? They are shown by the valence band. Now when we come to the conduction band, they are the range of energies possessed by conduction electrons or free electrons. But do we have any free electrons over here? There are no free electrons here. Therefore, the conduction band is vacant. Why it is vacant? Due to non-availability of free electrons. So, the conduction band is completely empty. So, this is also at T is equal to 0 Kelvin. We are showing, this is the crystal structure we are showing here. And here we are showing the energy band diagram. So, in energy band diagram, what we are understanding? The valence band is full, but the conduction band is vacant. And they are separated by an energy gap, Eg. There will be a small energy gap, which we have discussed in classification of materials. So, in a semiconductor, the energy gap is of the order of 1 electron volt. Now, as the temperature increases, we have seen what is it at T is equal to 0 Kelvin. Now, if you keep on increasing the temperature, the covalent bonds break. So, the electrons become free. So, when they become free, they start conducting. So, same semiconductor at 0 Kelvin, it was behaving like an insulator. It is not conducting because there are no free electrons. But when we supply energy, so how are we supplying the energy? We are increasing the temperature. As the temperature increases, the covalent bonds break. When the bonds break, the electrons are free. When they are free, they conduct, because we know that current is due to the movement of electrons. When these electrons are free and they start moving, it conducts electricity. Now, as the covalent bonds are broken, electrons move to the conduction band. So, when the bonds are broken, they are free. So, once they are free, they move into the conduction band. And in the valence band, we have holes. So, from where the electrons are coming now, they are coming from the valence band to the conduction band. So, in the valence band, there will be holes, and these electrons have gone to the conduction band. Now, the number of electrons in the conduction band is equal to the number of holes in the valence band, because it all depends. The number of holes depends upon the number of electrons that have gone to the conduction band. If 4 electrons are shifting to the conduction band, correspondingly, there will be 4 holes in the valence band. So, always the number of electrons in the conduction band is equal to the number of holes in the valence band. Now, we'll try to understand it with the help of this simulation. You see here, this represents the temperature. Okay. So, this is the temperature. So, when the temperature falls down, so see here, all these electrons are in the valence band, but as the temperature increases, most of them have gone to the conduction band. So, all these electrons have now come from the valence band to the conduction band. So, now when the electrons move, what are these called? They are holes. So, from where the electron has moved out, we call them as holes. Holes are nothing but spaces where there is a deficiency of electron. Holes are nothing but deficiency of electron. So, in this diagram, you can clearly observe at 0 temperature, or when you see the temperature here is nil. So, all the electrons are in this valence band. But as the temperature increases, some of the electrons are shifting to the conduction band. And when these electrons shift, what we have here is the holes. This is what we understand. And also if you count here 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 electrons. So correspondingly you will have 7 holes in the valence band. You see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So always the number of electrons in the conduction band is equal to the number of holes in the valence band. Now this is what we will be using it to do our derivation now. So what we understood is as the temperature increases, we are talking about a temperature T greater than 0 Kelvin. Sometimes even the room temperature is enough to break these bonds. So here we are showing one covalent bond broken. We are talking about suppose because of the increase in temperature, there is one covalent bond which is broken. So what happens then? This electron becomes free. So when the electron moves out, it becomes free. There will be a hole created here. So one hole and one electron. So more bonds are broken, more number of free electrons generated, and correspondingly there are equal number of holes. So let us see that in the diagram, energy band diagram. Here we are talking about at T greater than 0 Kelvin. Some of the electrons from the valence band have shifted to the conduction band. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 electrons have come to the conduction band. So correspondingly there are 6 holes. What we are trying to understand here is number of holes in valence band is equal to the number of holes equal to the number of electrons in conduction band. So this is what we will take forward. Now we are trying to compare at T is equal to 0 Kelvin. We have seen that the valence band, this is the valence band. This is full with electrons. Electrons occupying different energy states, and the conduction band is empty. Here the conduction band is empty. This is at 0 Kelvin. Now as the temperature increases, some of the electrons have moved to the conduction band, and we have electrons here and we have holes here. So this is what we are seeing with the increase in temperature. Now the density of states in a semiconductor equals to the number of states per unit energy per unit volume. If we have to calculate the number of electrons per unit energy per unit volume in the conduction band or the number of holes in the valence band, we need to understand first the density of states, and then we also need to understand the probability of occupation of holes in those states. So first we are going to define the density of states. I've explained you with one simple example. For those who have not seen my previous video, I'll just give you a clear idea of that with the help of that example, so that you can understand what these density of states are and also the probability distribution. Now we are talking about the number of holes in the valence band. So this is the valence band and this is the conduction band. There are different energy states here like this. We have states and you have electrons in each state. Now when these electrons are moving to the conduction band, here also we have different states. If the electrons are moving from the valence band to the conduction band, there are holes being generated here. Now we are trying to calculate the concentration of holes in the valence band. So the easiest way to do that is to first calculate the number of states. The density of the states means the number of states per unit energy per unit volume. if you can calculate that and multiply with the number of electrons that are there in each state, that gives us the total number of holes in the valence band. So to understand that, what we do, suppose in a class we have the students seated. Okay, there are, say, suppose we have 4 columns and 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so what are the number of states here we know? So 1, 2, 3, 4, each consisting of 5. So 4 into 5, 20. So this is what we call the number of tables. And in each table, we can accommodate 3 students. So you imagine that there are 3 students sitting in each table. So without counting, we can easily say that the number of students are 60. 20 into 3. So the same way, what we are doing here is, we will try to write the expression for the density of the states, which is analogous to our tables here. And we will also write the expression for the probability of occupancy of electrons in these states, that is analogous to the number of students sitting here. So multiply the density of states with the probability function, we get the number of electrons. And in this lecture, we are going to talk about the number of holes in the valence band after the electrons have shifted to the conduction band. This is what you need to keep in mind before we derive expression or expression for the concentration of holes in the valence band. So first we have defined the density of state. It is the number of states per unit energy per unit volume. So why we are using it? We are using it to calculate the number of charge carriers per unit volume in any solid. We need this to calculate the number of charge carriers. Now the density of states in the valence band. We are talking about the holes in the valence band. So what is the expression for the density of energy states in valence band? That is given by ZV of E dE is equal to 4 pi by h cube to mh star power 3 by 2 e power half d. So I'll explain you the term. Z always represents the density of states within a small energy range dE we'll consider, and then we will calculate for the entire band. Now we have 4 pi by h cube. H here is the Planck's constant. It is a constant given by Planck. So H represents the Planck's constant, and mh star is the effective mass. When we are writing here star, it means it is the effective mass of holes. Here H is representing the hole, mass of the hole, but here we consider the effective mass. When we talk about effective mass, we are always talking about the electron that moves in a periodic potential. So when we talk about an electron in periodic potential, we always represent its mass by effective mass, which is denoted by mh star. And E is the energy, the particular energy level we are talking about. So ZV of E dE is given by 4 pi by h cube to mh star power 3 by 2 e power half d. So this is the expression for density of states. Now we will use Fermi-Dirac statistics to know the number of electrons or to find the probability of occupation of electrons. So Fermi-Dirac statistics gives us the probability of occupation of electrons. So whenever we were talking about an electron behaving as a wave or exhibiting wave nature, we can only find the probability of occupation over the energy states. So we'll be using that Fermi-Dirac function to know the probability of occupancy of electrons in each state, in each energy state. Now, how do we get this Fermi-Dirac function for holes? Fh of E represents the Fermi-Dirac distribution function for holes. So, Fh of E is equal to 1 minus Fc of E. Because here this is representing for the conduction band or for the electrons. Now we are doing it for holes. So we already know for Fc of E, so it is easy for us to calculate Fh of E, that is the Fermi-Dirac distribution function for holes, using it for electrons. So 1 minus 1 upon 1 plus e power E minus Ef by kBt, because this we have discussed in our last class also. Fc of E is given by 1 plus e power E minus Ef by kT or kBt. So E is the energy and Ef here is the Fermi level. Ef denotes what? Fermi level. Kb here is the Boltzmann constant. Kb is the Boltzmann constant and T is the temperature. So once you have the Fc of E, you can substitute here 1 minus Fc of E and then simplify. How do we simplify this? You can take 1 plus e power E minus Ef by kBt as LCM. So I can write this as 1 plus, if I multiply this with 1, I get e power E minus Ef by kBt minus 1 divided by 1 plus e power E minus Ef by kBt. This is simple LCM we are taking. Whatever we have in the denominator, we have taken, this is multiplied by that. So 1 plus e power E minus Ef by kBt, and here in the numerator we have 1. So this plus 1 and minus 1 get cancelled. So we are left with e power E minus Ef by kBt in the numerator, that comes here. And in the denominator we have 1 plus e power E minus Ef by kBt. So this is the expression we are going to use for the probability distribution function. Now we are going to calculate the hole concentration. Hole concentration means the number of holes per unit energy per unit volume in the valence band. That is what we are going to calculate. You may also call it as the density of holes or concentration of holes. So you should not get confused with the terminology. So when we are talking about hole concentration, means the number of holes per unit volume of the valence band in a given semiconductor is called the hole concentration, and we are representing it by P. Why P? I told you that we are talking about holes here. Holes are nothing but deficiency of electrons. So when we are talking that electrons are negatively charged, we consider holes to be positive, deficiency of electron. So that is why we generally represent it by P. So what does P represent? It represents the number of holes per unit volume, or it represents the hole concentration simply. So now what we do to derive the expression, we will first consider the states having energy between E and E plus D. I told you whenever we are talking about a valence band, I will draw. So this is the conduction band and this is the valence band. Here we write in terms of EVB is the lowest level and the highest level in the valence band is EV. And here if you see, the lowest is EC and the highest is ECT. And here we have a number of states in the valence band. You have a number of states. Now first we will do only for a small region, that is having energies between E and E plus D. We will write it as P of E, D. So for a small fraction we are finding. Now how do we get P? What is the number of electrons in that? We will multiply the density of states with the Fermi-Dirac function. So it is obtained by multiplying the density of states, that is ZV of E dE, and the Fermi-Dirac function. Are you able to understand? I want to calculate the total number of electrons or the number of electrons per unit volume. Okay. So what we are doing, we are trying to take the product of the density of states and the Fermi-Dirac function. So P of E dE is equal to ZV of E dE into FH of E. We have already seen or taken the expressions for ZV of E and FH of E. We have seen both. We are just going to substitute in this. So you understand clearly ZV represents the energy states or the density of states. That is what we are calling as energy states per unit volume. And then FH of E is the probability of holes here. Now on substituting, what we are getting, P of ED is equal to ZB of ED into FH of E. We are simply substituting here. Okay. Now the total number of holes in the entire valence band per unit volume between the energies EVB to EV, because I told the lowest level is EVB and the highest level is EV. First we have calculated for a small region DE. Now we are going to extend the same thing from EVB to EV. So we will do a continuous integration. Now the sum of all these things will be represented by an integral. So P is equal to integral EVB to EV. We are putting the limits now. What are the limits? From the lowest level EVB to the highest level EV. We want to consider all the holes that are present in the region between EVB and EV. EV is the highest state, EVB is the lowest state in the valence band of P of ED. So this gives us the value of P, that is the carrier concentration or the concentration of holes in the valence band. Now we are going to slightly modify these limits using integral EVB to minus infinity P of EdV plus integral of minus infinity to EV. What I have done is I have just split them. Because they are continuous, I can write it as EVB to minus infinity and from minus infinity to EV. So then EV. Then it becomes continuous. So I have just split it. The same integral, I have split it into two regions. One from EVB to minus infinity and from minus infinity to EV. So it becomes the same, EVB to EV. Now I can rewrite this expression as interchanging the limits. From minus infinity to EVB, then I'll get a minus sign. I'll put a minus and write integral minus upper limit and the lower limit we are exchanging. So minus infinity to EVB, P of E d. This remains the same. Integral minus infinity to EV, P of E d. Now if we look at this expression, integral minus infinity to EVB. So this is EVB. Minus infinity means I'll go to minus infinity here. Okay. So within this region, from minus infinity to EVB, do we have any holes? Are there any holes in this region? No. So this term can be neglected. We can neglect this term because there are no holes in this region. So now P simply becomes integral minus infinity to EV, P of E d. So I hope you understand, for the sake of convenience, how we have split the integral and we are identifying the region where there are no holes and excluding it or neglecting it. We are writing the expression as simply P is equal to integral minus infinity to EV, P of E d. Now for P of E, we will write the product, the density of the states multiplied by the Fermi-Dirac function for holes. So ZV of ED into FH of E. This we have already seen. FH of E is equal to 1 minus FC of E. So we have substituted and taken the LCM. We have got this. E power E minus EF by kBt by 1 plus E power E minus EF by kBt. Now we will divide this expression with E power E minus EF by kBt. What we have here, FH of E is equal to, in the numerator we have E minus EF by kBt, and in the denominator we have 1 plus E power E minus EF by kBt. So what we are going to do now, divide by this expression E power E minus EF by kBt. So I will divide this numerator also with the same expression, and here also I will divide both. It is the same as I write it together, but I want to simplify. Each term we are dividing with e power e minus ef by kBt. We are dividing. So now this by this will give us what? 1. They get cancelled. Same terms. 1. And here also it is the same term. They get cancelled. You have 1. So I'll write 1 first. 1 plus 1 by e power e minus ef by kBt. This is what we have. We are writing here 1 upon 1 plus 1 by e power e minus ef by kBt. How did we get? By dividing each term with e power e minus ef by kBt. Now, I can just rearrange it here. I can take this denominator to the numerator. If I take this to the numerator, what will I have? 1 by 1 plus, only the sign changes. So, we can write it as e power ef minus e by kBt. I have taken 1 by e power e minus ef by kBt, and the denominator I am taking it to the numerator so that the sign changes. Ef minus e by kBt. So that is what we are writing. But now if you see here, since Ef is very much higher, Ef is greater than E, because the valence band lies below the Fermi level. So Ef is more than E. So you can simply neglect this value of 1. Okay. So then we can write it as 1 by e power ef minus e by kBt, because we have neglected the 1. Okay. Now again take this to the numerator, you get e power e minus ef by kBt. On taking it to the numerator, what happened? The sign changes. So we are getting e power e minus ef by kBt. This is what we will substitute now. Now what about the density of the states? Z of v, d is given by pi by 2 8 mp by h square power 3 by 2 e power half d. This we have already seen. And one more substitution we are going to do now, because E is less than EV. Why E is less than EV? When we are talking about the valence band, any energy state you take here that lies below EV. Okay. So E is less than EV, means EV is the maximum energy in the valence band. We can see from here, the maximum in the valence band we can have is EV. So what we are going to substitute for E is EV minus E. So we are going to substitute in place of E, we are going to put EV minus E. So the density of state becomes pi by 2 8 mp by h square power 3 by 2 EV minus E power half into d. Let this be equation 9. Now we are going to put these two equations 7 and 9 in our original equation 5. That is for P. So P is equal to integral minus infinity to EV pi by 2 8 mp by h square 3 by 2 power 3 by 2 EV minus E power half is the density of states, ZV of E d, and this is the simplified formula we got for FH of E. Okay, so ZV of E multiplied by FH of E. Whatever is constant, we will bring it outside the integral. We need not integrate them. So we will bring all the constants outside. So we can write it as P is equal to pi by 2 8 mp by h square power 3 by 2 integral minus infinity to EV minus E power half into E power E minus EF by kBt d. So in order to do the integral, we are going to have one more substitution. Epsilon is equal to EV minus E. So simply for EV minus E, we will put epsilon. So what will be d epsilon? EV is a constant. So this is 0 minus d. So d epsilon is equal to minus d. Now what will be the limits now? The limits are minus infinity to 0. How do we get? Epsilon is equal to EV minus E. So what is our lower limit? Minus infinity. So for epsilon, I am putting in place of EV minus infinity. So EV minus infinity will be minus of minus infinity, I can write, because the lower limit is minus infinity. So this will be infinity. So this will be the lower limit. Now for upper limit, what we have to substitute? EV. In place of E, we have to put the upper limit EV. So epsilon will be equal to EV minus EV. So this will be 0. So epsilon is equal to 0. This will be the upper limit. So the limits are also changing with this substitution. When we are substituting epsilon is equal to EV minus E, the limits are going from epsilon is equal to infinity to epsilon is equal to 0. So we will change the limits also. So pi by 2, 8 mp by h square power 3 by 2 is a constant. Integral epsilon is equal to infinity to 0, lower limit, and upper limit epsilon power half e power EV minus E, because here we have E minus EF. So we'll have to substitute for E. So if epsilon is equal to EV minus E, what will be the value of E? E will be equal to EV minus epsilon, simply rearranging the terms. So for E, we are substituting EV minus epsilon minus EF by kBt. EV minus epsilon minus EF by kBt. And here EV is constant, EF is constant. So this also I can write it as E power EV minus EF by kBt into E power minus epsilon by kBt. I can split it like this. A power m into A power n is equal to A power m plus n. So the same formula we'll use here. So whatever is constant, we can take it out. So we have taken E power EV minus EF by kBt. So we are left with only E power minus epsilon by kBt. So all these are constants. So now we are going to integrate. So what we are going to integrate, also one more thing we have to remember here, when we have written d, this is integral infinity to 0. In place of d, we have to substitute minus d epsilon, because d epsilon is equal to minus de. So de will be minus d epsilon. So we have a minus here. Now I am going to change this limits. So I'll do it from 0 to infinity. So I have a minus here. This minus into this minus, I'll get plus. So I'm interchanging the limits here. How? By putting a minus sign, I'll write it as epsilon is equal to 0 to infinity. So minus into minus, we are getting d epsilon. Now we will use this expression. This integration we are not going to do. We are going to use this result, because we know that integral epsilon is equal to 0 to infinity epsilon power half E power minus epsilon by kBt d. Epsilon is root pi by 2 kBt power 3 by 2. So we are going to simply substitute it in the expression, whatever constant we had multiplied by root pi by 2 into kBt power 3 by 2. So how we are going to rearrange them? Here we have a root pi and here we have a pi. So pi into pi power half. Root pi is nothing but pi power half. So pi into pi power half will give us pi power 3 by 2. Okay. And then we have 8 mp power 3 by 2 kBt power 3 by 2. So 8 power 3 by 2 mp power 3 by 2. We have got pi power 3 by 2, combining this pi and this root pi. So we are taking the pi also inside, and then kBt power 3 by 2 by h square, and this term as it is. So all those which are having power 3 by 2, we are combining them and writing them as 8 pi mp kBt by h square power 3 by 2. And here in the denominator, you have a 2 here and a 2 here. So 2 into 2 will give us 4. So 1 by 4, 8 pi mp kBt by h square power 3 by 2 into e power EV minus EF by kBt. Now I can take out 1, 2 common. What we have here is 8 power 3 by 2. 8 power 3 by 2 can be written as 2 into 4 power 3 by 2, or 2 power 3 by 2 into 4 power 3 by 2. So I can simplify this 4 as 2 square power 3 by 2. So this simply becomes 2 power 3. 2 power 3 by 2, I'll keep 1 2 inside only because this has 2 power 3 by 2. And this 2 power 3 is nothing but 8. I bring the 8 outside. Outside the power I am bringing. So I will get 8 by 4. So I can simplify this and write it as 2. So we'll have P is equal to 2 into 2 pi MP kBt by h square power 3 by 2 e power EV minus EF by kBt. So this is the final expression we have. P is equal to 2 into 2 pi MP kBt by h square power 3 by 2 e power minus of EF minus EV by kBt. And also because we have too many constants, we can combine all of them and write it as NV. V represents here the valence bond to understand whatever the constants that are there for this valence band. So NV is equal to 2 into 2 pi MP kBt by h square power 3 by 2. So for all this, if we substitute NV, so we have P is equal to NV into e power minus of EV minus EF minus EV by kBt. Because why we are writing, we have got e power EV minus EF by kBt. We are just taking one minus common and writing it as EF minus EV by kBt. Because we always want to write the higher value minus the lower value. EF is at a higher level than EV. So the same expression we are taking a minus common and writing it as EF minus EV. Otherwise, we can write it simply as P is equal to NB into e power EV minus EF by kBt. Both mean the same. So this is the final expression for the whole concentration. That is the concentration of holes or the number of holes per unit energy per unit volume in a valence band. So to derive this expression, you will have to follow the steps very clearly. It may look a lengthy expression, but if you start deriving it with proper steps, first step you will define the density of states. And in the second step, you will define the Fermi-Dirac distribution function. Fermi-Dirac distribution function. So this we are representing by ZV of E, dE first. And here this is for holes in the valence band, FH of E. So now if you want P, so P will be the product of these two, ZV of E, dE into FH of E. So write the expressions for both, substitute in this, and then the rest all is simplification. You may have to use some constants or you may have to do some substitutions for integration and then simplify. So that makes things easy for you to understand. Thank you. See you in the next class.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.